This is our 2006 International 3000 series shuttle bus, which we've converted into a RV. I think throughout the process, which took us about a year, we watched every single video online to not only keep us motivated, but of course get ideas and direction for different problems. So I'm going to do a walk around of our project and just highlight some of the things we did, and maybe it helps somebody else that's in the middle of theirs. So this is a 32-foot bus that has the DT 466 engine with an Allison trans, which is the combination that we wanted. We were able to find it locally for $6,000, which was a pretty good deal. It needed a couple grand worth of mechanical work that I was able to do myself, but after that it's been a good platform. I put some stabilizing jacks in the back here. As you can see, it has air suspension, which is nice for the ride, but it leaks down, as most of them do, and it creates a lot of sway in the bus when you're parked. We added a hitch to the back here, which is a class 5 hitch. Added mud flaps front and back to protect some of the stuff we did underneath. Cleaned it up a little bit with the hubcaps, otherwise didn't really do anything to the exterior. Our gray water tank is underneath the bus here, mounted up with some brackets, and our drain is right here, which we can hook up to a hose. My electrical shore power is here. This space here is where the original AC condenser was for the bus. So after removing that, I just built a frame underneath here and added this toolbox, which gives us our storage for hoses and electrical cords and boards and different things. Outside of that, we had to seal up everything. The bus leaked from everywhere. So that was quite a process through 3 or 4 different storms, coming out and checking where leaks were and then sealing and rechecking. So we used 3M marine adhesive sealant all the way around, which is a spendy product, but I think it will last a long time. So all around where the fiberglass body meets the metal had to be resealed. Around this window we did a butyl RV tape, as you can see there above the door, and across the roof seams. Same thing at the back. I tied into the bus air system and added a regular air chuck here, so we got an air hose for whatever we need, tires or tools. This was a handicap bus, so these doors are still functional, so we can open these up when we're eating breakfast in the morning and enjoy the view or just get some fresh air, which is kind of nice. Moving in here, redid the stairway. This is just some cheap carpet remnant I bought at the hardware store. This rubber mat came off of Amazon, also was pretty cheap. It initially had a really strong odor. We had to scrub it with Simple Green and clean it a few times, and that ultimately dissipated, thankfully. This aluminum trim, same thing again, can be bought at the hardware store. This piece of wood here I added for our stairwell cover, which I made to cover the stairwell here when we are driving down the road, or when we leave the dogs in here and we're parked somewhere. Then we can put this in and they can lay there in front of the door, which they really enjoy. This was one thing that I contemplated for quite a while. I kind of wanted to build it on some sort of hinge system and have it permanently in place here, but ultimately, to not have it be in the way of the chair here or any of the door linkage, this ended up being the best way to do it, I think. So then I just made a couple of brackets back here to hold it in place, and it sits right there. Everything up front here is the same, is original, just have a tool kit. This is one of the original bars that I had to cut and weld in a few spots to make the shape I wanted here. This is a standard RV fridge. It is very nice. It's a 12-volt fridge, 12-volt only. It's rather large, and the current draw is very low, actually. It averages about 2 to 3 amps an hour, so that can be run for quite a long time. Built this base under here to provide mounting for the fridge and also get it up a little bit higher. And you can't really see, but it's cut out in the front here, and I have room under there to store battery charger and the hazard gear for the road, the safety triangles and such. So, flooring. This is a luxury vinyl. I forget what they call it. It's just sheet vinyl flooring, but it has the padded back. This is the third thing I tried for flooring. The first two options did not work so well. One was a stick down tile, which was failing almost immediately, and then one was a snap together product, a higher end product I got from a local hardware store, which basically half of the locks broke when they were snapped together. So then after a couple of trips, they had started shifting and gaps opened up, and I took it back apart, glued the seams. That worked for a while, but ultimately the same thing happened. So the third attempt, I used this vinyl sheet, cut it to a rough size, put it in here, trimmed around everything, and it's by far the best. I put double-sided tape around the edges and underneath the heavy appliances and such, which is what's recommended. It's seen temperature swings from 20 degrees all the way up to 120. It's been in here at times, and I haven't seen any issues with it. I repurposed some of the main switches here and just relabeled them. So here's our main lights. I rewired some things for entry lights so we can turn those on independent of anything. The fan up here we put in, and then DC to DC charger for the battery system. I've got snaps that I put all around here, and some curtains that I have up behind the fridge here, so we can put curtains in place across here to create a divider there. which is kind of nice when it just gives a little extra privacy because there's no good way to really block off these front windows. Little shelf that I mounted on the fridge here with magnets and some 3M strips. Kitchen area. What I did for curtains all the way around is just this simple cable that is for a deck railing system that I had left over from when we built our deck. A couple of hooks bought at the hardware store, and some simple hardware crimps for the ends, and then some curtains. I of course couldn't find the sizes that I needed, so I bought sizes that were a little bit bigger and then used this mending tape to, you know, fold the bottom over and get the size we needed. The countertops all the way out throughout are the same butcher block stained in a gray finish with a satin, gray color with a satin finish. So that's the same in the middle, and then the nightstand's in the back, and then I made the table out of this also. Did the backing boards here out of a different wood, but we're pretty happy with the way that turned out. Stove, we just got the Dometic propane 2-burner stove, which works really nice and it looks great. We did a large sink, which we really like. Gives us room for whatever we need, and it looks great. It's a nice residential faucet. Storage and all this, we'll go through the plumbing system here. So in here we have our hot water heater, which is a 7-gallon Bosch electric water heater. For many reasons, we decided to do this electric water heater versus a tankless water heater, which is pretty popular with this type of work, but it just wouldn't work with our setup, and we're very happy with this. We don't have an inverter yet, but ultimately, if and when we get an inverter, we could turn this on as we're driving with the DC converter, replenishing the batteries, and then we could have hot water when we stop. Otherwise, when we stop, we just plug it in. It takes about 40 minutes for the water to heat up, and it's plenty of capacity for us to take a couple of showers, not even very conservatively. If you really wanted to be crazy about it, you could probably get 4 hot showers out of it. Added extra shelf here. So my plumbing there, I just used all residential PEX fittings and crimps. Got valves on everything to be able to isolate different components and turn things on and off for winterizing. You can see I already have my antifreeze in there for the winter. It's a bit of a pain with this Bosch water heater too. There's no drain on it, so ultimately you have to pull the vent out here and then suck the water out of that, which is not hard for me to do. But tanks came from a company called Plastic Mart. They have the best selection by far. Custom fitting locations to make it work the way we needed to. And drain, these are some nice, rather than doing the standard trap, these are some nice anti-backflow valves that are pretty common in RVs. And my drain runs down again to the gray water that is underneath. That's coming in from outside. That's where we have our main water supply and our fill. This is our 12 volt, one of our 12 volt fuse blocks there. That's got the fridge, the water pump, the stove, and my tank heaters. We did do tank heaters, so those are both switched here. They are thermostatically controlled. Water pump is switched here. I did the 55 AquaJet AES, which is an on-demand water pump. We are very happy with that unit. It works great. It's pretty quiet. And compared to others that I have dealt with in the past, it's really nice. This is our switch here for our water heater. Have a little light there that tells us when it's on and off. We have a ground fault plug here, and then the cord just run over to another plug there for other stuff on the counter. TV mounted here. Put that on a swivel. Honestly, we haven't even used the TV yet. I felt like we had to put one in, but we haven't used it once. Table is on a removable base here. These seats actually came out of a new Freightliner semi-truck. A lot of times guys take the seats out of their new trucks and put in a nicer seat. So I was able to find these for $300 each, compared to most of them get at least $1,000 for these RV seats. Some swivel bases that I bought online, and then I just had to make, I don't know if you can see, but I had to make some different mounting brackets to get them mounted there. Bought some universal seat belts, and that has worked out very nice. So they recline all the way back. They can recline together and make a bed here if you wanted. Did a 12 volt charging outlet on the base there. Shiplap here we really like. Add some texture into the bus and just looks great. Did a magnetic door holder here which can double as a coat rack.